Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Sure. And our names are up, so everybody can see us and our names. We are all members, board members, except for Lynn,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and Lynn is our editor for those of you who are watching on whatever format.
It says right there, newsletter editor.
Well, we have an agenda, and I think Ed had a couple revisions to add. One, I believe, was dealing with resignations, or you had two items, Ed. You're muted.
Still muted.
Ed, you're muted.
I know.
He doesn't care.
There he is.
Hi, Ed.
then.
Now we can hear you.
Under new business, there was any more nominations for the Walker Award?
Oh, that's right.
And then the other one was, since you haven't talked to Meg, if there was any action on the survey regarding the OCDA support recommendation.
I
But
have been slammed with work. I don't have time to monkey with that right now.
no, you asked Meg to. and-
I did, and Meg's apparently been out of town, so,
Yeah,
but yeah, we could talk about it.
I don't think there's any point in talking about it at this point until we committed to surveying the neighbors.
Okay,
Survey out, pointless.
so let's not add that one and just add the Walker Award. Is everyone okay with that addition to the new business?
I've got a couple of things that I think at least we need to have maybe a short conversation about.
Okay,
One is the Sandy Boulevard, the thing from Zeph. And the other one is one that I'm not sure that anybody else knows about yet, but 72nd Drive through the golf course. I've been told on fairly good authority that they want to make that traffic one way, which is going to really impact people that live around the park.
okay,
They want to do what they're doing to Snake Hill, basically. So I know we don't necessarily need to make a decision tonight, although it's something for the Land Use and Transportation Committee, but I think the board needs to be aware of it.
absolutely. Okay,
And I have reached out to Matt Grum to try to get some answers from him, and I haven't heard back yet.
all right. For some reason, I put the recommendation on the Sandy Boulevard TGM at the top of the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't look at the agenda. My apologies.
Yeah, but it's not in the agenda, so
Oh, okay,
let's add it to the Land Use and Transportation.
that's fine.
Okay, all right.
And the other thing I might say is that I'm not going to have any battery time after 9 o'clock. I mean, I get 2 hours of battery time on this computer and it might even be a little bit shorter than that. So we'll try to keep it as brief as possible on our discussions.
Okay. Okay, is everyone, let me see. We've got an addition of the Walker Ward, as well as the addition of Sandy Boulevard and 78th through Rose City Park.
72nd.
72nd, excuse me.
And that's an hour and a half I've got left on the computer.
Okay, so let's talk quick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, it passes. I didn't get a second on it, so I just assumed Terry's commentary was seconding.
It's
All
fine.
right, off we go. We have the minutes for last month.
Move to accept them as submitted.
Second,
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. All right, they've been passed. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Treasurer's report.
Okay. Was sent out and put onto the documents. So if you have those up,
what do
Ed,
you want to What do you want to see first, Richard?
Okay. Well, let's just go with the report.
The June 2020?
End of the year. So yeah, the June 2020 report, treasurer's report.
All right.
There it is. So it gives you the summary of June, and then for the entire year, as far as comments on what the year was like. There is a budget for the year that shows as an additional document. But the commentary here covers what's on the budget.
What was our budget a year ago at this time? Or what was our ending balance a year ago? Was it very similar to this?
It was, as it says
Or
here,
am I missing it?
we
got-
we were at the end of the year, we were down about $1,300 from what we had last year.
Okay.
Ed, could you pull up the one with the budget?
Okay, there's two of them that say budget. One's 2019, 2020, and one's 2020, 2021.
The 1920.
Stand by. Okay, I think is this it, Richard?
Don't see it yet.
You don't? All right, I guess I gotta do another share then. Let's see.
Okay.
1920, there we go. Is that it?
Yeah. So
Okay.
can you see that, Terry?
I can see it. What am I looking for there at the?
Down at the bottom in the green on what the budgeted surplus is, there's a negative.
I cannot see the bottom line.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Thank you.
So our we're $1,383.67 poorer than we were at this point last year.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah.
But considering what it could have been, that's not too bad.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But we still have a surplus in our checking account of somewhere around 7 or 8 grand, right?
Yeah. Let's see, it's actually almost 10,000. We've got 99.47.
Okay, just to let you know, I got a word back from Meg and Jay, and they are out celebrating their anniversary
Well, fully for them.
dinner
They don't want to celebrate it with us? Darn.
and forgot to send an email. So there you go. I just let them know that we got a quorum after all.
Okay, good.
Okay,
All
well, I guess the quorum, the COVID is doing well by us, given that we are not spending any money.
Yeah. Not getting in any money either, but that's okay.
True. I haven't been out there knocking on doors to,
Ed, you want to put up the 2021 budget, please?
Yeah, just a second. I need to, okay, so 2021. Right, and
I think Kelly should go door to door and get people to become community sponsors.
Kelly,
In your spare time. When you're not on the boat.
Yeah. Which it looks like where he is at the moment. Okay. So I was not comfortable with going into the year without any sort of guidance, so I made up one. This is
Okay.
very, very iffy. We don't know if any of this is going to happen, or we don't know how much of it's going to happen. But if we are able to do a cleanup, maybe we can get 3,000 from it. If we get some support from CNN, maybe we can get 1,000. If we do concerts, maybe we'll get 1,000. If it's alive, we could sell 10 books. Hopefully we can get some ads. I know we got a new advertiser coming in, and hopefully we'll get some ads for the newsletter. But that number up there is much smaller than it was last year, 7,500. The expenses, without support from Metro for the cleanup, I would imagine we would probably lose money.
Are we only getting $1,000 from CNN for support?
That is a guess. We don't know if we're getting anything from CNN because
Got
their budget, they don't have a contract. And it's supposed to be voted at the council on Thursday. So after that, we might know something about this. But I figured we could probably get something from them.
No, I'm going to tell you that I've been told by Allison that there will no longer be money coming from CNN or the city for cleanups.
No, not cleanup. This is the communications support.
Okay, they do have communications money in the
Yeah.
budget.
Yep, I got 1,000 down there.
Okay.
I'm not expecting anything. We don't have anything in cleanup coming in just from the people who come through the gate.
Richard, does this sheet does it include our not having had to print the newsletter in May?
Yeah, because that's past year. This is for this coming year.
Okay.
Yep.
This
Yep.
month and this month and go forward. Okay.
So that's
Isn't our normal budget for communications from CNN in excess of $2,000?
probably, yeah.
And
Two-
we're funded through 21, right?
I'm going to throw
I don't
another,
believe they are. No, they do not have a contract with Civic Engagement or whatever they call themselves,
Civic Life.
Civic Life. So they have no budget.
I'm going to throw something else out here,
Sure.
just as a thought. And I know it's budget related, but not directly. Instead of having a cleanup, what if we advertised that we want like a rummage sale or a yard sale or something and have people just donate just for that, not cleanup? And it would just be money coming in then that way.
Except we'd have to get rid of all the stuff that we can't sell.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But if you could make $1,000 or something on it, we've done that at the cleanups before.
Or one idea is having a neighborhood-wide garage sale
Mhm.
and with 10% going to the Rose City Park Neighborhood Association.
That's a possibility too.
Yeah. And that's, we come up with that, we can put it in here. Again, we haven't sent anything to CNN saying what we're going to be doing for the year.
But
So,
I mean, these are things that we need to, that not necessarily tonight, but we need to think
Yeah.
about other ways that maybe we can
And-
attract some revenue.
that's why I put this up, just because we need to get things up there and we need to figure out what's going to be happening. And so we have some plans for the year.
Right.
Another possibility to consider maybe would be bottle drop. Laurelhurst does bottle drop as its only fundraising effort during the course of the year. And right now, with nobody having been able to return their bottles and cans, there could be a huge market for that, even in the short term.
You can still return them.
Yeah. And they are back up and operating now.
And I actually went out to Yon Street a couple of months ago with about $30 worth.
Okay. So there it is. This, I don't think it needs to be adopted or anything like that, but it just needs, this is a draft. open for discussion. All right,
do we have to pass a budget? Should we
No.
should we do it
there is
draft?
no indication in our bylaws that we need to have a budget.
Okay, all right, good.
So while we have this open, I think it's important for us to set our sights on what we think we can do.
Yep.
I know that if we go ahead with the cleanup, that's going to cost us a chunk of change, which I doubt we're going to get back.
Great.
So I am open to, the idea of a bottle drop and a garage sale, as ways to go about doing that. But we also have to make sure that we have somebody who's willing to be assigned to picking up those bottles. Maybe Terry
Right.
is the bottle man. I don't know. But having someone who's dedicated to picking those up weekly and then emptying that and then depositing them and the money going to Richard so he can deposit.
Jennifer's
Can I
got
add something about the bottle drop for charity? Because I know quite a bit about it. So
Yeah.
you can actually register with Bottle Drop and they make special barcodes for you. And so you just give out the stickers and then people turn it in on their own.
And you have to buy the I see what you're saying.
You have to get the blue bags. You can give people the barcode stickers and they fill it up and turn it in themselves. So nobody has to be responsible for collecting them.
In other words, they have to turn it in, and there is a cost to doing that, by the way.
Yeah, it's like $50.
Yeah. But yeah, they would just drop it off. We'd give them the bag and they'd drop it off. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
And there's,
So
and they
We
can-
do that for the PTO, and we did that for some fundraising activities through work. So I know, I generally know about the process.
and they can drop them off lots of places. They don't have to go out to Bottle Drop.
They can go to Safeway.
Fred Meyer, Albertson, Safeway, there's a whole bunch of them. I was actually just reading up about Bottle Drop last week.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I like that.
I like that too.
And the other thing, as far as the idea of the garage sale, just to let you know, quite a number of years ago, Rose City Park did have a neighborhood garage sale. And if you were on the fringe of the neighborhood, you didn't do very well, like me.
Mm.
You did better if you were center of the neighborhood. So it might be, if we don't have a central location, we might try to double up housing or something like that so that people can, you know what I'm getting at.
Hmm.
Terry, are you aware of what the garage sale market looks like right now? Is there anything going on? Are they actually having them? I haven't seen nothing on Nextdoor about garage sales.
I have seen signs out. The estate sales started up 3 or 4 weeks ago. And of course, they, masks, some of them want gloves. They allow 25 people in the house, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't been to any. I did talk to one estate sale person, but I do believe people are having garage sales. It's a matter of advertising it in the proper way,
Yeah.
such as on a estate sale finder or something like that. But if you had a community one, what somebody might do is talk to Lorhurst or and see if they're going to have one of their garage sales again this year, or Eastmoreland that normally have big ones. See if they're canceled or what they're doing. They've got the experience. Of course, there you paid into the advertising for it and you got a sign, and then that was, I think, all there was to it. And I don't know how much it costs to do that. I'm not positive.
Okay.
It might behoove us to talk to somebody. I'm not sure who there, but how they do theirs, particularly Lorhurst, because they're close.
Laurel, Terry, do you want to take that on for us?
I will see if I can find somebody that I can talk. I know a couple of people that live in Lorhurst, and maybe I can go from there.
That'd be great.
Terry, go to the Laurelhurst Neighborhood Association website. There's a lot of good access information.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Richard, back to the concert question. How much do you think we could charge somebody to come to the in person?
I would say no more than $20.
So what's 50? What's 50 times times $20? Is that $1,000?
Yeah.
Well, that's not nothing.
No,
True.
So maybe I am negative Nancy here, but it seems like maybe we should take 2020 as a write-off year. We take our surplus, move it to 2021. We don't have the concerts, we don't have a cleanup, and we regroup in 2021 as to what we do for fundraising and or expenditure of funds.
I concur with Nancy.
I second that motion.
Okay. Motion is and seconded by concurrence with Nancy. Any discussion on this before we?
Are you saying nothing at all, or look at something that might bring in something positive? Now, I realize the concert and the cleanup probably aren't going to do that.
But like the bottle drop,
For 2020, right? Like,
or some sort of a garage sale type of thing that we're not outlaying a whole lot of money ourselves.
So I would like to see, there's a lot of ideas going around here about somebody doing this and somebody doing that. I would like to see people put their names on these things as I will do that.
Well, I said I would follow up on the garage sale thing with Lawhurst, so.
Well, that's gathering information.
Well, that's,
Then are you going to run it?
that's a
Danny?
start. That's a start at this point.
Okay, but are you going to run it?
It's possible. Let's see what happens. Let's see what kind of information we can get first.
My concern about a garage sale is that getting people to show up and still be safe.
I understand what you're saying.
I mean, I know a lot of people right now who are not leaving their houses. They're ordering in everything, and I mean, they're only going out for emergent stuff. So, and I think there's going to continue to be a lot of that until this surge slows down, and who knows when that's going to be.
I'm just the opposite, but a lot of it's just going to the library to use the internet, in my car.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't see much happening here except maybe a bottle drop before the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then 2021, we might be able to do something else, but I think we have to be safe, and we want to encourage people to be safe. Encouraging people to have garage sales, I don't think is a good approach.
Okay. Well, I'll accept that.
So is your motion, Nancy, to squelch all fundraising for 2021 or just for the remainder of the year?
Except for maybe the bottle drop.
Is that an amendment? Well, you're not a board member. Is that an amendment?
Kelly, clarification.
I was thinking that we don't do any fundraising or major expenditures until 2021.
Okay.
Calendar year or fiscal year?
Oh God, I forgot about that. Calendar year.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we all think that there's going to be a vaccine in late 2020 or maybe early 21, and the whole picture might change. But until the picture changes, I think it's too risky to have an event. And I think with the surplus we have in the budget, I don't think we have to venture forward with fundraising.
Okay.
Thank you for the
How about
clarification.
the bottle drop as a friendly amendment?
Only if we have somebody that's going to own that.
I second that.
Well, why don't we find out what we can find out about the specifics about what that would entail? Because if we don't have to go around and pick up somebody's bottles, it's a very different thing than if we would. If we can
Right.
simply give them a bag and make a bag and stickers available to them and they take care of it themselves, that's a.
Now, I really like that idea. If we can do it that way, it makes a lot of sense.
So are one of you two going to handle the bags and the stickers and be the dispensing point?
I think we could have Terry be the lead on this, and then all of us participate in handing out bags and stickers.
Jennifer, what's been your experience with your PTO? Has someone been the central point, or have you been able to separate it out?
Is she still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay, I just don't see you there.
Oh, you have to scroll. So when we did it, it was like generally like one person, like is the connection with Bottle Drop, makes the order, gets the bags, and then you can distribute that to other people. Although there's not necessarily a lot of efficacy with that. I mean, it's just here's 5 bags and 5 stickers and give them out to somebody. I mean, that part's not that hard. But it does take some effort.
Something
You
else.
know, the motion that was on the table with that Kelly put forward was kind of just pause until 2021. I'd like to kind of support that, including the bottle drop. Like, we can look up what the information is to do that, but kind of just pause. We potentially don't have any major expenses, so we can just kind of hang out. We are going to still have an advertising income and some community partner income, so it's not like for nothing. But then we can just kind of, as we look into the 2021, we can say, okay, now we're in this place where we can initiate some form of contact, right? Like, here
I
are
think
these
that's a
bags,
good
because
idea,
otherwise you do
Jennifer.
still have people coming to your house or place of business or something.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have one other question, and that would be: if we want to take this safer than not approach, does that mean we also want to not be doing hard copy newsletters through the end of the year?
I think hard copy newsletters are not that risky to distribute. Personally.
I think Helene should survey her team
Okay,
of people who deliver them to see how many would be willing to deliver them before we make a decision on whether to print one.
I don't
okay,
think we need
before
to
we
make
go
that-
much further, stop. I want to go ahead with this vote because it was clarified by Kelly. We're going off into the newsletter question. Let's go ahead, and we have a motion by Nancy and a second by Jennifer of no fundraising other than what we've already got going with community partners until January of 2021. So all those in favor of that, say aye.
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 Okay, unanimous. All same sign the other way, nay? Okay, we've got a unanimous vote. Now, we can go, why don't we talk about the newsletter issue at newsletter time?
That's fine. The only reason
Okay.
I brought it up was in the because we were talking about budgetary stuff. So, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We can defer that.
Okay,
We've got the money to cover the first printing,
okay,
so it's not a problem.
all right. We don't have Jay or Joe for the CNN report, but we do have Terry. You went to a LUTOP meeting?
No, we haven't had a LUTOP meeting since January.
Well, you had said you came from a LUTOP meeting.
I'm talking
And-
about our LUTOP meeting or our land use and transportation.
Oh, I see, got it, all
I'm
right.
sorry.
So
Yeah.
I talked to Allison yesterday and I just put up on the screen some bullet points of the conversation. It's in the packet.
Oh, my.
If I can, I'll just.
Oh,
give you a
that's
quick-
why she's been slow getting back to me.
Yeah,
Yep.
she was successful. She's going to begin physical therapy next week at Providence if things don't interfere. They have not had a contract since June 30th. The budgets for the coalitions are in a council meeting for July 9th. The agenda is at that link. It's in the documents package. You can send in email comments or you can sign up to testify. She's requesting, she's going to send that out to other neighborhood associations. Currently, they have banked, she's had a reserve. They have 5 to 6 months of operating expense for her and Rhonda's salaries. Money's in the bank. They could go leaner to stretch the funds if necessary. There are some of these PPP loans the federal government has had available. they quit taking applications, but yesterday she and Rhonda were contacting their bank Umpqua to see if they have the ability to apply for those loans, which if they got one, then they would, and they weren't funded by the city, then they would use those funds to continue to operate as long as that allowed them to. She has purchased insurance for the CNN board and neighborhood association officers for the next fiscal year. So we don't have to worry about frivolous liability suits, if you
That's
will. And if they are not funded, she said CNN can be operated without staff, just as neighborhoods do, relying on volunteers, just as we do, and the 501c3 status can be maintained. And finally, their physical office continues to be closed. So that's the latest from CNN. Comments, questions? I don't have too many other answers than that.
I am so glad she survived.
Yeah.
I mean, she
Yeah.
had to hold off on that surgery for several months, 3 months.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, new business. I do have it on here. Northeast Sandy Boulevard TGM grant plan. So we're talking about Zeph Wagner with PBOT has requested letters of support for funding in creating a Sandy Boulevard plan. And what that means is support for looking at all the different modes of travel through the corridor and having a supposed broad public involvement of those that would be impacted by the possible change in travel. Terry, you want to chime in and tell us your thoughts of, because I think you had heard-
I had a conversation with Andre Baugh in December. And it was at the Rose Lane project hearing. And basically what he told me two things. PBOT wants to take a lane away on Sandy, and that could be a lane each direction. Secondly, anything they do on Sandy that would impact I-84, the state has to be involved, because they can't do something on Sandy that would increase traffic on I-84. I guess third, if I wanted to, Planning Commission made Sandy a major city bikeway from a city bikeway, which they're going to try to force either removal of parking or removal of a lane. Rose Lane project could do that. It may not do that. But I'm real concerned, particularly not just our area, but when you get out to Park Rose, that traffic can back clear up to 70 seconds sometimes getting on the freeway. Not right now during COVID, but during, post-COVID, pre-COVID, and probably post-COVID, it'll start doing that again. And so it's a real issue. Anyway, those are my thoughts, and I'm very concerned that if somebody chimes in and says, "Hey, we don't want you to do this," they're going to do it anyway.
Well, I think it's good that ODOT is concerned about limiting travel on Sandy. That's a good boon for our side as far as making sure that we have adequate number of lanes on Sandy maintained. I also, I believe that it's going to be interesting to have those cyclists not sound like white elitists in this time of racial inequity.
You're starting to talk like me, Tamara.
I am, because I believe it. You don't see very many Hispanic or, Black cyclists. I'm just trying to put it out there that who are these lanes for? And I know that everybody can walk, but not everyone feels comfortable biking. And in some cultures, like a number of, I want to say,
you're thinking over in Europe and China and places like
Europe
that.
and China, you have a number of women cannot go out without having a man there, or straddle a bike is seen as, not acceptable. So there's a lot of cultural differences also. So I'm open, but I think we shouldn't go in with go in jaded, because I think we have a lot on our side as far as argument. And I think it's good that we are more active than most, because then we can get the word out more than most. If this was going, if we had Sandy going through a small neighborhood that didn't have any public involvement, then I'd be worried. But we have a pretty robust public involvement outreach.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things, I don't remember if I mentioned it when I was talking first too. I mean, parking could be removed as well, which is going to impact the neighborhoods. But I think you're going to see Cully come in and be all for it, or at least
They're not on Sandy.
they aren't. They're not on Sandy at all.
Nope.
Nope.
I thought they were down close to 82nd, but okay.
Nope.
So
Okay.
can anybody really envision Sandy functioning without 2 lanes in either direction?
Oh, I'm sure some people can.
So when I read through the proposal, it was, they're not taking away the travel lane necessarily. They're just dedicating it to transit, emergency vehicles, and cyclists.
But that is taking away a traffic.
I drive into downtown, the buses slow down the traffic, right? So like
Yeah.
there's a lot of this, right? And so it's not going to be like they're graveling it. It's going to be a traffic lane. It's just going to be dedicated to different purposes.
And just to let you know, the Rose Lane project itself isn't necessarily taking a lane away. It could be signal priorities. It could be other things. But just even the curb extensions that they put on where your buses stop actually compound the congestion on Sandy. Remember, you're going to be if you take a lane away, you're going to be putting all the cars in one lane. And at 72nd, that's going to jam up. At 57th here, it's going to jam up.
It's a zoo, especially in the evening hour.
Yes, exactly.
When I still lived in the neighborhood and worked actually out here, when John came to pick me up for work in the afternoon, I got off at 5:30. He had to leave the house at 4:15 to pick me up on time because of that bottleneck up at the backup to get on 205.
Yep.
I would like to throw it out there. I'm not necessarily in support of it. I just read that.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So what are they asking for us to do?
As far as what should we do?
Yeah. What are they asking for us to do? They want us to send them a letter, say, yeah, study it, because they don't have a plan set up yet. This looks like this is the very start of things.
Right.
Correct? Yeah.
It depends on how you read it. If you could read it that it's a done deal.
Yes, you could.
It has been read that way by a couple of other people, so that's what I'm getting at here.
Now, I didn't see a link to anything. All I read was what Zeph sent.
Yeah.
Is there actually a proposal report that I haven't seen?
Well,
if you Google Peabot Rose Lane project.
Rose Lane, but that's not the TGM project.
But Rose Lane is part of TGM project.
Okay.
Rose Lane and bike lanes, and when he starts out autocentric. Pardon? Autocentric street. I started to say eccentric. Autocentric street. You know right there what the plan is going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of bias at Peabot right now against the automobile.
So Jennifer, I still have the question out there of what do you think we ought to do?
I mean, I guess I would throw it back is what does he want us to do? It looked like he wanted us to I thought that he asked for something. See below, application is due. They're asking for letters of community support. So the question is, do we think that we can provide letter of community support, right?
For a study.
Or a
Study.
study.
The bigger question is what is the support for?
Right.
Yep.
Because the letter, like I said, the letter seems to be it is heading a certain direction. At least that's the way I read it, and that's the way other people have read it.
What is the deadline for that letter?
July 31st.
Can we boot this over to the land use committee?
But the board should do an action.
Well, does the board want to empower the land use committee to look at this and judge whether or not to
We can support
make
it.
a recommendation or a letter?
I would be in favor of that.
Okay, do we have a
Is it
second?
motion?
Well, that was a motion.
I'm asking, is it a motion?
I move that we, what's the acronym for this one now?
TGM.
Sandy Boulevard TGM.
TGM. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That the request for support for the Sandy Boulevard TGM be referred to the Land Use and Transportation Committee.
I will second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign.
Aye. Listen to
No.
Terry, and Terry has introduced his own bias. And I'd like to think that Sandy needs a lot of safety amendments. It's horrible for pedestrian crossings and lots of other things. And me personally, I don't think at this point, they don't have any plans of what they're going to do. I know you can think about the conspiracy theory, but I think supporting any effort that focuses potential design and funding on Sandy Boulevard is something that I'd like to support.
And
Okay.
Ed, to the point of the pedestrian, I agree with you that there needs to be
Yeah.
pedestrian safety improvements. I was.
Okay, hold on. We had a vote and I heard that Ed came in with the nay side. Now, did you mean
I
for?
did. Yeah, I just said, no. You guys voted yes, you can refer it back, but I just want to say that at this juncture in time of where they're at, I really think, I'm just afraid that the land use committee may have a bias.
And I said nay because I'm worried about the land use committee being too small a group. If Michelle leaves, we have just a handful of people. And
Right,
it seems to me that the board should make a decision here, even though there's not a lot more people on the board, at least present in this meeting. It just seems like it's a board action rather than a land use committee action.
well, does someone want to do a next door request for a survey, on this question?
Or
how do you do
alternately,
that?
could we just decline to provide any response at this time as a board?
That sounds good to me. Maybe avoidance is not the right solution, but I can't see that we can support a major study on Sandy when we have no idea what the focus is.
And I can go along with that too. I'm taking the focus from what was said in the letter. And, I've discussed it with a couple of other people in the neighborhood and they had the same, more or less, one of them said it's a done deal. Those were not my words. Those were somebody else's words.
Well, we actually have voted and you passed this
Right,
with 4 yes votes and 2 no.
Well, we can make a recommendation to the land use committee that they do nothing as well, other than discuss it.
Which is the easiest thing for us to do.
okay, the vote has been, is a
Okay.
positive to send it to the land use.
So we'll do that.
We'll do that, and what we can do is try to advertise the heck out of it and see if we can get some more people to show up.
Good,
How's that?
good.
I'd
All right.
like to get some more board members to participate in land use.
That would be great.
Who seconded that?
I did.
Okay, thank
Carrie.
you.
Okay. Next on the agenda. I put in this link on historical context of Portland racist planning, just because I wanted everyone to have a chance to look at it and read it and understand what our part is as a neighborhood association taking in a sector that is historically identified as funded by banks as white. At least the majority of our neighborhood is considered, classified as the white neighborhoods. And so the redlining didn't hit us, it benefited us as far as our area. I would love to have much more representation on the board. And I want to figure out a way in which we can actually do that. And maybe it's the fact that these are virtual gatherings could be helpful, because then people don't feel quite like they're in someone else's space. I don't know.
Do you know what the makeup is of our neighborhood, racial wise? I know that my part of the neighborhood, there's a lot of Asians.
I think we have more Asian as our predominant second number, and then Hispanic, and then Black.
So Portland is like 5.8% overall African American.
But I'm talking about even renters, on the board, because all of us are property owners, and having demographic changes just because they're renters would be a better representation, because I think our neighborhood is like 60% homeowners. So there's 40% that aren't homeowners that could be represented here.
I think that's too high.
You think so?
I think, yeah, I don't think there's that many renters.
When you include the apartments that are in here, like the Sandy apartments over here, Sandy Crest or whatever that is.
That would be saying, like, out of the 4,000 households that we have in our neighborhood, like 1,800 of them are rentals. I don't see that as, like, from a neighborhood walks.
Okay.
But I mean, I think it's more than we have on the board, but I don't think it's 40%.
Okay, well, let's just say it's 25%. We still don't even have 25% represented. We have none represented on the board. So
how do we get them?
So I have an African American neighbor that I've been worried to approach to be on the board, only because it sounds like tokenism, if that's a word I can say out there.
okay. And I'm not for, tokenism, but I want to, we may want to consider the change in our makeup in our bylaws that says, okay, we do want a representative from, if we had Our Lady of Lavang staying, maybe having a representative as a person on the board. But some group that would represent a community.
There might be Laurelhurst has their board. They have some at-large positions, but they also have geographical positions. I think it's 4 board members come from like north, south, east, and west, or whatever it is, so that their neighborhood, the pockets of their, at least broader pockets of the neighborhood, must be represented on the board, as opposed to having everybody from a single, clustered area. We might look at something like that.
Okay. I like that idea. And I think our bylaws are pretty screwed. And I would like to be able to fix them. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in my lifetime, because it takes so long to change them.
I've got it on my radar too.
My only question is what if we can't find somebody that is willing to do that, then where if it's in the bylaws, I'm saying, if we can't find somebody that wants to represent a corner of our neighborhood or be a non-white, I'll just put it that way.
Right.
If we can't find somebody that's willing to do that, are we SOL as a neighborhood association if our bylaws say we have to do
I
that?
think I think the way we get around that is something that we use our best efforts to encourage, or something.
Okay.
Anyway, I wanted to plant the seed on this because we're all we all benefit from white privilege. And I've done a lot of soul searching on this for myself. My grandfathers, one was a miner and the other one was shot oil wells. And so we all have our history. We all come from somewhere, and they came from somewhere. So I think just being much more aware of our assumptions of that people are actually getting the information, what type of information we put out, and how we word things is very important.
I think there's a big challenge, and I've been thinking about this a lot too, and reading about it to try to get some guidance for myself, if nothing else. And I think the one thing that everybody says is that we, the white folk, need to stop talking and start listening. But I think where we're at in this case is how do you indicate your desire to have more inclusiveness without sounding like you're engaging in tokenism?
And maybe we need listening sessions and invite people to come and speak to us.
Right. But who do we invite, and how do we invite them without that sounding like it's condescending, or you know what I'm saying?
Well, let me investigate that for us. Okay.
And
And
I'd be more than happy to put something in the newsletter. I would love to. I just don't know a better way to put it than what I came up with before, which was not ideal.
okay. Let me
Even putting it out there, Lynn, you don't know if it's going to be reaching the audience that it needs to reach.
But that too.
one person I could reach to is Elaine Harrison, who is in charge of Head Start.
Oh.
And I've worked with in building the community garden down there at Fraser. And she has lots of contacts, and is friends with Norman Sylvester, and
Okay.
she might have some good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
there also is an NAACP chapter in Portland that that might be a decent resource too, because I think, again, it's like, okay, we are acknowledging that we don't have the answer, but I'm not sure how to even get the answer.
right.
An answer, let alone the answer.
But what I was thinking of is reaching to those people who are in our neighborhood,
right?
And that have an institution in our neighborhood, and getting them to come to us and having us listen.
Oh, there's also the if she's still there, the gal who came in as a minister for the church.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name.
And do we have some businesses that would be, minority businesses in our neighborhood that maybe a business person would want to join?
I don't know. I mean, there's all the Vietnamese stuff, but that's out toward Cully.
Well, right now it's very, very tough for businesses to do anything but try to keep afloat.
I understand.
Okay. Anyway, we're running out of time. I just wanted to hit that. And
We've got about a half an hour left.
Okay.
And maybe I'll reach out to my neighbor and say, in light of current times, would he consider participating in the neighborhood association as a board member? And we'll see what he
Appreciate that, Kelly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
Who has background noise going on?
Not me.
Not me. Oh, the Walker Award is the other item that we have on new business. Ed?
So far, we've got one nomination. People wanted another month or so to come up with other nominations, or do we have anybody come up with other nominations? That's just trying to stay current.
The only other person that I can think of off the top of my head is Michael Roth had brought up a name of a former chair of the Rose City Park who is in his 80s. And he wanted to let us know that it would be nice to have him recognized for his contribution. But this was probably a year ago when he mentioned it. I don't know the guy. I don't know what his contribution was, but Michael thinks he's worthy.
Do you know his name?
Yeah, his name is John Schweibert. He lives in Irvington. He's had a long established home called the Peace House, which is populated by folks who are involved in peace and that sort of thing. And apparently, according to Michael, he was one of the founding members, probably with George Walker, I can only speculate on that, of the neighborhood association. So John Schweibert, he lives in Irvington around 20th. And
I would nominate him because I trust Michael's research on this. And I think someone who can say that they've run a peace house for more than a year in Portland, that's pretty good.
it's been decades that he's been running this house.
Yep.
He's pretty well known in the community. So
Has my vote.
are we voting? I mean, that's a nomination?
That's a nomination.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Do we want to continue to entertain nominations, or do we want to vote on the two we have?
We already voted on one.
Did we?
Mhm.
Yep.
I thought it was just a nomination. Is it?
Nope.
Is it
We
in the
voted
minutes?
on So we got Eric already.
We actually just accepted the nomination.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think that's all you have to do, isn't it? Or is it?
No, because then we have to we have, all two people, and then we have to vote who should get it.
Oh,
No,
we-
you gotta
we-
You
narrow
can
it
have
down.
more
to
than,
more
you can
than
have
one.
more than one. You can have more than one get it.
Yeah.
Had 3 last year.
So can we have Michael do a little outline of this gentleman? Because none of us know him. And I would think that being the oldest guy here that was involved in the neighborhood association, that I would know him,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be a worthy request.
So do we want to have a pending nomination and get some follow-up information from Michael?
Is that okay?
I think it's
I
great.
think it's fine.
Fine with me.
It'd be nice to have more information if we're going to make a presentation and go, here's this, than to say, hey, John Swibert, we were told you were a great guy and you should have this award.
Are we looking for a presentation of the awards like at our first face-to-face meeting in October?
We talked
that
about
where-
that last month.
We talked
Looking
about
for-
it.
I just need to know because I need to get things in set up and get the awards set up.
I'd
Are we
like to
having
make a
it
motion.
face-to-face? Are we
like
having
to
it
make a
face-to-face?
motion for Eric Seevater to get one of the awards this year.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same
Wait,
sign?
wait. We said last month that we were going to keep the nominations open till the August meeting.
Oh,
So can we just pause on that? We'll keep our nominations open.
Okay,
and
question-
we'll
Let's do
take our vote in August, like we said last month.
So
Okay.
Tamara said one of the awards would be the Eric, that's the way she phrased the motion. So we aren't closing the nominations with this vote.
We're
Well,
just
do we
acting on-
would just want to do one vote like at one time, and we can say I, like at one time. It's easier for me to take my notes that way.
I think it keeps the activity cleaner.
Yeah,
Well, we've already voted. It's the same, we're in the same situation, the referral to the land use committee. So, I
I was
can-
trying to get off of mute to have a conversation.
personal problem.
I couldn't tell. I thought you were having indigestion.
Come on.
I think that there was background noise. It's called story time.
Oh.
So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I guess I don't care, but we said last month that we were gonna keep the nominations open until August. So if you want me to write John Schreiber was nominated by Michael Roth, and we're gonna ask him to provide more information, and then we voted for
Eric.
Eric
Eric.
Stiefvater.
I'm happy to record it that way. I don't think we
Sounds
voted
good to
yet.
me.
That sounds good to me. You've already voted. It's hard to unvote.
I didn't vote.
Sure.
You're muted.
Just write down my own history, like other white people.
Yes. The secretaries have the power of the pen.
Right.
We have the recording.
Okay, so we're moving on. So we have the 2021 board schedule. Has everyone had a chance to look at that?
Yes,
Any changes? I know there's a question of one of the dates.
That I think that was the only logical question. March.
That was in March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the regular formula general meeting in March would again fall in spring break, that week of the 22nd and the 26th. So the question is, do we want to hold it the following week as we did this year in 2020? Or the week before? Or during spring break?
Why don't we push it to after spring break?
From a newsletter perspective, I would prefer that.
yeah, the 30th makes sense.
The 30th? Okay. Do we want to vote on that? Do we need to?
Sure, we should vote on it.
Okay, we're going to have the general meeting scheduled for the March 30th around, it will be after the spring break of this coming year. All those, do we have a second for that motion?
Second that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Uh,
All those opposed, same sign. Take yourself off mute. Okay. So it passes.
Oh,
right.
while we're on that piece of paper,
Yep.
down there for the communications committee, that's not proper. That's an incomplete thought. We meet the first Monday of every month, provided that it is immediately before the board meeting. For example,
Provided.
Lynn,
Yeah.
I have a version of that which addresses that, which you've seen, and you said it was done nicely. So,
Right, yeah. So just get
Okay,
that-
I'll
if we
take
can
care of that,
If we can
okay?
get that transferred over, that'd be great.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Moving on. We have committee actions. We have half an hour or a little bit less. We're down to the newsletter.
Okay, I have very little to say. First is a reminder that the soft deadline for the next issue is this coming Friday.
Okay.
And I want to have my draft completed by the middle of next week, which will then give us several days to do the review and with an anticipated publication date of the 20th.
Okay,
And we have a new advertiser, Costco.
Kitty,
Yes. And
great.
money has been received, is that right?
Not that I know of.
In
Nope.
process.
They're
Okay.
gonna submit their art and money in August.
Okay. And
But
that,
you're-
I believe, is all I had.
So who got
Art and the
Costco?
money in August, but we're supposed to
They
publish
approached us.
now?
Oh, nice.
Good.
According to Jennifer.
I
she can
get
get-
credit for that
Yes, she get credit for that, definitely.
Hey, Jennifer.
because I called him back.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Well, and verified that the person was really there at Costco.
Right.
Ed likes to hook us up like that. And then I guess just if we wanted to add the community partnership contributions, I think PGE is either in process or submitted its contributions from Ed and my volunteer hours. So
That's great. Thank you. Thank you both. Okay, now we're down to land use and transportation with the
So,
recommendation.
wait. Can we
Wait.
go back to, there was a question earlier about a hard copy newsletter.
Yeah,
Right.
And
I thought the consensus was that we're going to reach out to Helene and see what she thinks, and I'm happy to do that.
yeah, okay, I didn't know we had completed that thought. It's
Yeah, I
sort
think we did.
I wasn't sure either.
of kicked
Yeah,
down the
because
road.
we don't have to make that decision right now because we don't have another one scheduled to be printed until September.
That's fine, just so we make sure we have newsletter deliverers.
Yeah. And so are you going to reach out to her, Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so on to the recommendation by the Land Use and Transportation Committee. I sent out the transmittal, and basically we did get a good testimony from Deborah, Field with Paper Jam regarding the need for as much parking as possible. And for those that aren't familiar with this issue, we were approached by Emily Courtage, who lives she lives on 50th, and the concern is about 50th and Fremont intersection. And primarily their concern is about the northbound cars not having good visibility from vehicles coming from the west. There are no parking spaces. It's a T intersection. There's no parking spaces on the south side, on the east side, because that's a bus stop and a crosswalk halfway through that block. But on the west side, there is a parking spot in front of the Eclectic Kitchen. So the concern that Deborah pointed out is that if you don't have enough on-street parking, then you really cut the throat of the small businesses that are trying to make ends meet. So we ended up with a recommendation that said the on-street parking and traffic laws should be enforced at the intersection of Northeast 50th and Fremont. PBOT should work with the Beaumont Business Association regarding these changes and improvements. This recommendation, they said, should be sent both by letter as well as through the electronic format that PBOT has. Anyway, that's what we came up with.
Deborah,
Yep.
one other comment that the board also has to think about when we're sending this is the fact that if PBOT comes in and looks at that one intersection, they may very well look at multiple intersections on Fremont and want to remove parking. So that's one of that was part of our decision process in coming up with this.
It's a good point.
I think it definitely needs to be addressed because that's not the only T where you cannot see. I do not come up 41st even though it's a good travel lane, but you come right up there and there's always cars parked on the west-hand side and you cannot see. And it's not safe going up there, even if people are only doing the posted 20-mile speed limit.
So what we're looking for is support, approval, or support with a modification or a denial of this recommendation.
I move that the recommendation be accepted.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Okay, it's passed. I'll get that out. Then there is the question of whether or not the board supports me meeting with Dembro along with Michelle. We would be doing this electronically, of course, regarding the nuisance house that was next to her on 60th Avenue. I guess the question is, does the board support this action?
What kind of an expected outcome? Because of my understanding is that there's been no support from the owner of that facility. And if we meet with Dembro, it's fine and dandy. He's meeting with his constituents, but what can he do about it that's going to make any difference from what's been happening when Michelle was there?
Well, part of this is a jurisdictional nightmare because we have Multnomah County. They are in charge of probation. There are people that should have been picked up that were waving guns around. It's just a nightmare of all these different disconnects. And I don't even know if he's aware of how disconnected it is and how it's creating huge dysfunction in not just in our neighborhood, but in other neighborhoods as well. So I'm not quite sure what the answer is, but at least providing the information would be the first step.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So do I have?
Allow that meeting to occur.
I'll second it.
Okay. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Thank you. Okay, and then we have the 72nd through Rose City Park.
Yeah. This is new, and we probably ought to discuss it in the land use committee, but I basically wanted to make the board aware that they've been surveying that. And according to, through somebody, well, actually through Sharon, the groundskeeper at Rose City Park or at the golf course has said they are planning on making that one way for cars because they want to put, more bikes on there. And that is a route, 82nd to 60th or the other two next routes. It's going to impact our neighborhood by putting more traffic on 60th, at least one direction if they do that. And I don't know where the public input has been on any of this. There was public input, and Ed, you were involved maybe a couple of years ago about that being a pedestrian corridor. And one of the priorities was to get something up the hill pedestrian wise, so they didn't have to walk on the roadway or walk on one of the little trails. But when I spoke with,
and that was
when I spoke with Matt Grum about this, anyway, I brought it to the attention of Matt Grum, and I haven't gotten back to him. He hasn't gotten back to me. Matt is the liaison in Chloe's office he works for PBOT, but he's the liaison that brings things to Chloe, I guess. So I've got that outreach going on, and he hasn't gotten back to me yet.
Well, we'll talk about this at the land use meeting.
Yeah, I just want to make the board aware of it. That's basically what I wanted to do, because I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay. So the next one is events. And if we're not going to be raising any money for the remainder of this calendar year, do we want to talk about this or just announce that we're not going to have concerts?
I don't think there's any, I think this is all resolved.
Yes, I agree.
I think
Okay.
we should just make the announcements because it's for safety concerns.
Yep. Okay.
So
Don's
thing-
not here for the safety committee. We haven't seen Don. He's also missing.
and so I'm gonna try and get our money back for the $10 we spent for a noise permit for the concerts.
For the variance.
Yeah.
All right. We've gotten through the agenda. Is there anything else that we need to cover?
Question, Ed, do you think when we have board meetings like this, we're going to have to do with this reservation system in the future, or is it just something that we can put out just a general announcement?
I know how to get in now.
Aren't you special?
This was a requirement, I believe, that Zoom was going to implement very shortly. And there was an email the last day or two, and they've extended it now to September. But I think it's going to be required as a a safety measure, and
Okay.
so we've got some time.
To be honest with you, Ed, I didn't even read your email until tonight. I just saw the date of the meeting and
Yeah.
That's why you
I'm
had to
used-
come in by
I'm used
Google.
to that, Terry.
Ed, do we have, you know who registered? Do we have access to that information?
I don't know. There's nobody else here. I don't think there's any outsiders that registered. I looked to see, I think the registering is, you get a reply once you register, which is an email,
Yeah.
Richard and you, and I assume Jennifer. Kelly came in through he's got access, as does Richard, through the YouTube site or the Zoom site. But I think, I don't know that there's data on that, Lynn, to be honest with you.
Okay.
and are we going to have to register with our RCPNA thing? Because
It's just whatever email you want to be notified at.
okay.
Yeah.
I prefer to go through my Google.
Yeah, and that worked for me. I went through my Comcast one and it worked.
Well, one question I had been batting around is how we, during this time, could help raise money for the food bank. Because, there's a lot of folks out there hurting. And even if we could do gather auction items and do it online, some way to help in the community. So I was wondering if anyone else was feeling the urge that we need to help people from being cast out of their homes, and that food is one of the basics that folks really need.
So we could donate money from our treasury if we thought that was a good use of funds that we'd accumulated.
We could.
It cuts down on the administrative work.
It would. It's true.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, that's a good point. You could designate the PGE donations, which are total $600. I mean, that's one way. So Tamara, I mean, as an organization, but I've been donating some money. I use the PGE matching fund for retirees, so for the food bank and other organizations. So some of us may have been doing it as individuals, but it doesn't hurt as an organization if there's the energy and the bandwidth to do it.
Yeah, that's my concern about the energy and the bandwidth. And there is money in the budget for general awards. And those general awards have gone to graduation parties the last couple of years. Guess what? No graduation parties.
That's true.
So maybe we can say, we will make a general award to the Oregon Food Bank for that $1,000. I'm sure they would not turn it away.
I'm
I
checking
will second
something.
that motion.
Is that a motion?
That was a motion.
So did the Walker Award, the cash stipend, does that come out of that budget item?
Not of that one. No, there's a separate item for
Okay.
Walker Awards, $300,
Okay. Okay.
which will cover 2 awards plus the physical awards.
So I'm assuming that if things get somewhat back to normal next year, we won't be sponsoring any graduation parties.
We don't know what's going to happen with the schools yet. We don't even know if they're going to be opening.
That's why I say if, I said if things get back to normal.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jennifer.
So hard.
Yeah.
We could raise, I mean, I would be okay with, like, you know, instead of the 2020 graduation parties, we could make that contribution to a food bank or some other kind of
That ship
organization like
that ship has sailed.
But we already, oh, because that was last year's budget?
That was last year's budget. We have 1,000 for this coming year, is what I'm saying.
I see.
I'm just wondering if we should be giving the whole 1,000 at this point.
Maybe
I
500.
was just mentioning the amount that's there.
Yeah, I mean, give a portion of it, but I'm always cautious.
It's good to be cautious.
So 500, Terry?
I don't know what do the other people think?
Do we have a food bank in mind, like the Oregon Food Bank, or
Oregon
like
Food
there's
Bank.
actually there's food pantries that are smaller?
You know, the Oregon Food Bank is the one that feeds into the Sun School System that is helping out in East County right now.
What
And
about the Sunshine Division?
nope,
Nope.
the Sun
Okay.
Schools has a food pantry in Kelly Elementary School. Also one opened up at Franklin High School. And I think another one is at Lane. And they're continuing that through the summer.
The reason I asked about the Sunshine Division, I was just thinking of something that, when you said East County, I was thinking of something that's a little closer to our neighborhood, if there was something that was.
Well, you know, all the schools that have reduced and low income lunches have access to a food pantry. And so it may very well be some here in our Rose City Park area as well.
So I just went to the Oregon Food Bank. I don't know the details on this, but you can get it looks like you can get a matching and double value here. So this might be something we'd want to look at as well to maximize the the worth of our donation.
Yeah.
That's just
Excellent.
on their website.
Yeah.
Okay, so I move we
There-
donate $500 to the Oregon Food Bank.
I second
Second.
that.
I think you beat me.
And can we amend that to try to get the matching?
If it goes to the Oregon Food Bank, it's going to be matched.
Okay, all right,
What it says right there.
all right.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Okay,
FYI, there is one food bank in Rose City Park, and it's the St. Vincent de Paul St. Rose at 2727 Northeast 54th.
Yeah, right down the street here where we have our cleanup.
There's all kinds of them around the neighborhood, but that's the only one that's in the neighborhood.
well, I didn't want to necessarily put it at a church.
Right.
No.
We've already voted.
Well, yeah,
Anyway,
and I think the fact that we can get a match and double the value is worthwhile.
Very, very positive.
yes,
Mhm.
and then we can put that in a newsletter too, which would be a great thing.
Yeah.
Do we want to? Well, let's see. What do you want to put in the newsletter?
We'll talk about that unless people want to chatter about it. And
We can talk about it later.
So Richard, you're gonna go to the food bank website and go through the requirements to make the donation and get the match?
As soon as we get off here.
Okay,
okay.
all right.
Are there any salient words that you want to add into the newsletter that talk about why we're doing this?
Why are we doing this? Because people need help and we have the resources and the ability to offer help that they need. I'm sure that
Eloquent. I love that, you know?
Yep. Sounds good.
I like it. All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All those opposed?
Opposed? What?
All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.